You were giving us an education as to the constitutional arrangement in terms of the appointment of judges to the Supreme Court currently.
Precisely so. So, this is what the Constitution provides in Article 144(2). The other Supreme Court justices shall be appointed by the President, acting on the advice of the Judicial Council in consultation with the Council of State and with the approval of Parliament. So, in fact, the appointment starts with the President. The President makes the appointment and no one else. In the letter that has just been shared or circulating in the social media, what I see is a letter written by the Chief Justice, either making a request or recommending some individuals for appointment by the President or in a form of a request. I'm not sure whether that letter will be taken to be a letter coming from the Judicial Council that the CJ is a member of. In fact, the Judicial Council is a body that has adequate representation from a number of bodies. It consists of as many as about 13 or so members, including the Chief Justice as the chairperson. So, I don't know whether this time round the appointment started from the Judicial Council, of which the CJ is a member and a chairperson, whereby certain individuals were recommended at the council's meeting, and the CJ was probably asked to communicate it to the President. We are also quite unsure whether the President may have penciled these persons or personalities and seeking the advice of the Judicial Council as required by Article 144(2), and upon which advice the Judicial Council, at its deliberation, requested the CJ to communicate to the President. I'm not sure. Especially given the fact that we are also hearing that some names have been shut down by the same Judicial Council at its recent meeting or sitting. And the CJ also being a member of the council and in fact a chair. So there is a bit of confusion here.
Okay, so and clarify that. So your information is also to the effect that the President sent some names to the Judicial Council and the Judicial Council rejected those names.
No, as of now, we are not sure which of the request Judicial Council is shooting down. Is it the case that the President may have sent some names there for their advice as required under Article 144(2), and upon that advice there is this rejection? Or we are still not sure whether upon the request of the Chief Justice forwarded to the President then bounds this back to the Judicial Council issues here because there is some disconnect. What is being unclear is what source actually originated the appointment process. Is it something that the president may have requested the Chief Justice to look around and recommend some people to him? Or the president has some people in mind and forwarded that to the Judicial Council? And the Judicial Council, upon these deliberations, then asked the chair to communicate that to the president, only for the same council to sit and reject the names. It seems as if we are running a sack race here.
So clearly, there's some clarity needed here. But what are the implications if this was being done at the request of the CJ without the president even asking for the CJ's? Let's say the president writes to the CJ and says he wants to appoint some judges to the Supreme Court and he wants his input as to who and who merits that appointment. This may be alien to the Constitution, but is it possible?
Senna, from what you have stated, in fact, we are still living in a state of conjecture and I would say speculation. If the president had requested the CJ to look at certain names given by the president, why would the CJ be at the same time now having to communicate this in the form of a proposal or a request? You get what I mean?
Yes.
So the president would have had the profile of the person and say, look, madam, kindly look at these personalities for me and let me hear from you. But this is a request emanating from the Chief Justice to the President. So the scenario painted by your submission cannot be right. Now, your next question as to what the implications will be. That letter, in its current form, is unconstitutional. I'll put it bluntly, and that is it. It's unconstitutional. Okay?
Mm.
Yes. Because the CJ as an individual cannot openly and formally by a letter recommend persons for appointment by the CJ, by the president as Justice of the Supreme Court in the constitutional arrangement that I have just read to you. Ultimately, all appointments to the positions of justices of the Supreme Court start with the president. All other agencies or persons mentioned only come in to help in consultation with the Council of State and on the advice of the Judicial Council. The advisors or the persons being consulted could never have been the originators of the appointment process. I think you get what I mean.
Yes, I get you. But if ultimately the president decided to go by to perhaps comply with the CJ's request and put these names before the Judicial Council, the Judicial Council holds a different opinion to that of the Chief Justice and says, no, we don't think this is the right time to appoint judges to the Supreme Court. Would that in any way disable the president from going ahead to still appoint those justices?
I don't think the president can be disabled. Not at all. In fact, the president can even disregard the advice or the consultation process. because the appointment process ends when the president, by a warrant of appointment, appoints and places the presidential seal on that appointment. The process is complete and over. No other person can take that from the president.
I see. And let me conclude on this note. I know you are you have a keen interest in the politics of our country, and it's always said that the judicial council, people say, is one of the most political bodies you can ever meet. What message is it sending? If, for example, if the Chief Justice is supposed to chair the Judicial Council, and the Judicial Council seems to clearly, from the series of events, disagree on this thing of people being appointed to the bench?
Well, everything else, I mean, the politics can never be taken out of processes such as this. Here is the case. The Constitution clearly provides the composition of the Supreme Court as consisting of the Chief Justice and not less than 9 other justices of the Supreme Court. We have that. So at least we have 10 justices, including the Chief Justice. But at the moment, I think the number runs into way over 15. It's getting close to 20, I'm told. And coming at this time, I don't know what is actually happening at the council, because have you cited the letter coming from the council itself communicating this suggestion?
No, I think that's from our source is the Herald.
Yeah, so we are not sure, because if you look closely at the composition of the Judicial Council, but for the fact that it was mentioned in Article 144.2 and maybe some other articles for the purpose of their advice or consultation in the process of appointment, their functions are clearly stated. The functions of the Judicial Council itself must be looked at, and that is contained clearly in Article 154. Okay? It has 3 main functions, none of them which includes recommendation or advising the president with respect to appointment of Supreme Court justices or other justices of the Superior Court. None. So in the clear statement of their function in Article 154, no such function is mentioned except in 144.2, where the president has to consult or take advice of the Judicial Council. Okay? Yeah. Now, the composition is I don't know how, when the Judicial Council met with the CJ in the chair, after Madam CJ has forwarded these names to the president, only for the council to turn round, chaired by the CJ, to reject the names or some of the names. It's still quite confusing.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for making time to speak to us this morning. Very helpful.
I'm very grateful too. I'm grateful.
Yeah. Lawyer David, same to you. Have a fantastic day. Lawyer David Ametefe is a private legal practitioner. We usually speak to him on these issues. When we get confused a little, then we call lawyer. A lawyer will help us bring some clarity to our confusion. In this